what's up, guys? This is Garrett from Fantasy News and Brews. Today we're going to be covering a couple of topics. We have a special guest. The formatting is going to be a little bit different. We have Alex from RotoWire joining us. I'll have him introduce himself. But yeah, we're going to basically just be on a Zoom call talking about fantasy, going in depth, a little bit more about categories, head-to-head, which players are confusing, how are the rookies doing. So yeah, tune in and I hope you guys enjoy. Thanks. Just say something beautiful and stay right. And we have a special guest here, Alex, over at RotoWire. Kind of figured I'd let you introduce yourself, if that's okay.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I'm the NBA assistant editor at RotoWire. I've been at RotoWire since 2016. So it's been a while covering fantasy basketball for me. I'm glad to be on.
That's what you do, right? Is mostly just fantasy basketball?
It's just fantasy basketball. When I first started, I did some other stuff, like I was covering college, hoops or football here or there. But now that I've been here a while, I've kind of just carved out my role as purely NBA.
So you know your stuff, is what I'm hearing.
I would hope so.
Or at least you should, yeah.
Yeah, I should.
Okay, great. Yeah, so like I mentioned in the intro, today we're going to kind of be covering a few different topics. Rookie check-in is one of them, and I think that's where we will start. And then after that, we'll move into most confusing players. So yeah, let's start off with the rookie. And I think today's a great day to do it, considering Lamelo Ball decided to kind of just freaking play good basketball finally. So yeah, Alex, if you don't mind telling me a little bit about that and your thoughts on him moving forward in fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, he became the youngest player ever to record a triple-double, just over 19 years old. He's playing really well right now. If you're playing in an 8-category league, he's the second-ranked rookie behind Tyrese Halliburton in fantasy. So, yeah, I mean, LaMelo was a guy I was relatively low on coming into the draft because I thought, I admittedly watched too many of his lowlights from Australia where he was just flinging up, like 30-footers and just trying to make insane passes that weren't realistic. And I thought, this guy's really undisciplined. He can't shoot. I'm looking at his percentages. I'm like, this is not going to happen, at least for a while. And then it turns out he was probably just messing around and experimenting as much as he could in Australia. And he's a really disciplined player when it comes down to it, when he has to win and play in the NBA. And I think it's important to keep in mind he's only playing 25 minutes a game right now, and he's the 63rd player in fantasy. And his shooting percentages aren't crazy. Like, it's 44%. And for me, he just passes the eye test. Like, it's you watch him play, and he's one of the most intelligent rookies that I've ever seen, both ends of the court. He gets away with not having great shooting ability because he knows how to play angles, get layups, defensive end of the court. He's not going to be a great on-ball defender, but he gets his 1.5 steals because he's such a great off-ball defender. He plays good help defense, everything like that. So he's way better than I thought he would be, and he's a way more viable fantasy player than I thought he would, than I thought he would be.
So, Alex, can I ask you this? With Devonte Graham kind of struggling with his shot, and do you think Lamelo Ball is going to take his starting spot going forward?
He should. That's what I hope. I mean, I think James Borrego is a really good coach. And I think even if he continues to bring LaMelo Ball off the bench, LaMelo's going to get plenty of usage. Still, he's going to handle the ball all the time when he's out there. And, Devonte Graham, he can't keep shooting this bad. Like, it would be unprecedented for an NBA player to shoot like this. And his percentages were already really reliant on his three-point shooting because, almost all he does is shoot threes. Last year, he took 15 field goal attempts a game, and 9 of those were threes. This year, out of his 11 field goal attempts, 7.5 of them are threes. And so as soon as he stops shooting 29% on those, that'll help a lot. Sure. And last 3 games, he's 36 minutes a game. And I think that's the main thing is Borrego hasn't completely lost trust in him. But
so there's room for both of them, you think?
I think there's room for both of them. I drafted Devonte Graham in plenty of leagues because I thought, hey, I don't think LaMelo's going to see 30 minutes a game. They're probably just going to run a 3-guard backcourt, which is basically what they're doing right now. And so I think there is room for both of them to succeed, for sure, plus Terry Rozier.
Yeah, so Devonte Graham probably a good buy low candidate at the moment.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely a buy low candidate because the shooting he can't keep shooting this bad. And he's a great passer. Right. I mean, last season averaged, 7.5 assists a game. And he's keeping that up this year, 6.5 in 32 minutes. So he'll at least get you plenty of assists if his shooting still kind of sucks.
So before we move on from LaMelo, One question that I got on our Twitter, I believe, was would you rather have LaMelo or would you rather have Lonzo? And I actually answered Lonzo. This was before LaMelo kind of had this breakout
Yeah.
game where he again, youngest triple double ever. Um, that being said, I think I might still be sticking with Lonzo. It's so tough now. I mean, LaMelo's playing out of his mind. I think he's going to get more minutes moving forward. I just kind of want to see what your thoughts on that were.
You're talking fantasy, right?
Fantasy, strictly fantasy,
Yeah. Okay.
not if you're building it. Yeah, this is we're trying to stick with mostly just
No,
fantasy.
that's all good with me. Yeah, that's tough. Like I
And
love.
also, real quick, I should mention not a keepers league.
Okay, I love them. I love Lonzo Ball, and I have been on the Lonzo Ball hype train ever since he got drafted. I was, every year he would get hurt, and then every next year I'd be like, you gotta draft this guy at like 70 because when he's healthy, he plays really well. Um, I think I have to lean LaMelo, and it's
Okay.
part of it's the stats and part of it's just the eye test. Like I think LaMelo is a way better half court player than Lonzo. Lonzo is a pushing and transition guy. At this point, he's almost a pure 3-point shooter on offense because he doesn't really take it to the rack. He never gets fouled. And his free throw percentage is bad anyway. So even if he starts taking it to the rack and gets fouled, he's going to tank your free throw percentage. And he's a better defender than LaMelo. For sure. So if you're looking for steals, blocks, assists, you could maybe still go Lonzo. But for me, what LaMelo is doing in the half court and in only 25 minutes a game, it's really hard for me to not pick LaMelo here. And I think he already, even if we're talking real life, there's a chance he's already better than Lonzo. In my opinion, it's very close.
Wow.
And just fantasy stats wise, I would lean LaMelo.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. And I think we should move on. So I think it's safe to say LaMelo is your choice for Rookie of the Year so far.
Yeah.
So who
right
who
now.
can catch him?
I think Halliburton can catch him. Halliburton right now, again, second ranked, or excuse me, Halliburton is the first ranked rookie in fantasy on a per game basis in 8 category leagues. He's ranked 50th in the entire league. The main thing is, and plus, if you're in a 9 category league with turnovers, he commits almost no turnovers. He's 1 turnover a game right now, Halliburton, in 29 minutes, compared to 5.5 assists. And he's getting you 2.5 threes a game, 12 points, 2.5 rebounds. They need him. The Kings need him to win games. This isn't a situation where a rookie is not helping your team win, which happens a lot in the NBA. Most rookies are not helping your team win. I think LaMelo is clearly helping the Hornets, and I think that Halliburton is clearly helping the Kings. I think he's the guy. I don't know if he'll get the recognition he needs because he's not a flashy player.
He showed up all over ESPN after that game-winning 3 that he hit, the fadeaway corner.
True.
That was beautiful. So I think he'll start getting some national recognition behind LaMelo as well.
Yeah, and right now, LaMelo, if you're looking at betting favorites on DraftKings, it's LaMelo at -134, Halliburton at +350, Edwards at +400, and Wiseman at +600. And Wiseman was still the favorite as of I think last week, and now it's completely shifted. Now he's 4th. And I don't anticipate him catching him or Edwards catching LaMelo or Halliburton. I like Wiseman a lot. It's just that his minutes load isn't great and his usage just isn't. He's not getting a lot of usage with Curry, and even Wiggins is firing up a ton of shots, so it's not really there for him right now.
Right. And so I actually avoided Wiseman everywhere I could in every fantasy draft that I did. I was not high on him, but he's actually impressed me a little bit. He's better than I thought he was going to be from a dude who played, what was it, 1 or 2 games in college, kind of didn't play anything since, just focused on training. I thought he was going to struggle, and he's actually pleasantly surprised me.
Same here. He's practically out of high school, and with the long layoff between seasons, I mean, it's been a really long time since he's played meaningful basketball. Even if you consider high school basketball not meaningful, this is the first meaningful basketball game he's almost ever played. And yeah, I mean, his shooting percentage is a little low. He's shooting more mid-rangers and stuff that I'd like, but eye test wise, he's an insane athlete. He's going to catch lobs for a long time. He's going to block a lot of shots.
And he's hitting threes. I did not see that coming.
Neither did I.
Yeah. Weird. Okay. I mean, so those are kind of the big 3 right now. Do you have any other fantasy relevant rookies that you'd want on your team? And we
You
kind
know,
of skipped
Pat
over Edwards, so I guess we'll say big four because Edwards should be on a bench, I think.
Edwards should be on a bench. He hasn't cracked the top like 190 yet in fantasy, which is a little concerning. But he's playing the minutes, right? Which
Right.
is the main thing. I would consider Patrick Williams as well. Looked a lot more NBA ready than I thought he would. He's on the Bulls, about 26 minutes a game. And I think, Cole Anthony with Markelle Fultz out for the whole year, you have to really consider Cole Anthony because his shot's not going down right now, 32%, but his passing is way better than I thought it was, and his rebounding is pretty good for a small guard. And I think those are the guys who I'd be looking at. And I think Anthony needs to be picked up off of waivers like today if you have a Sunday waiver.
Yeah, he's one player that really impressed me coming into the NBA, and we touched on that a little bit on our last video with waiver pickups. And yeah, with Markelle Fultz out, unfortunate that happened. But Cole Anthony is someone you need at least on your bench.
Yeah, and Tyrese Maxey had a huge game yesterday with all the 76ers guys out. And he's someone that needs to be mentioned because if you're someone who likes to stream players in your fantasy league, the 76ers are on a 5-game week this week. And we don't know what the COVID situation really is for them. So you have to at least look at Maxey as a guy to pick up because 5-game week is insane.
Right.
Yeah,
And depending on how much his price jumped, he might be a pretty good DFS option as well.
Very true.
One player I want to bring up is I actually brought him up in potential buy lows, and that's Denny Avdia. His minutes, they kind of are all over, but I mean, he just played Miami, had 31 minutes, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. I think he's a really, really good candidate, especially when, Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal, especially Russell Westbrook, he's going to sit some games. And I think that's kind of when Denny can kind of come in and play these meaningful minutes. I mean, he's averaging, last 5 games were 31, 14, 15, 16. But before that, he was getting upwards of 25 minutes a game. He kind of had a little 3-game spell there. But, against Miami, he kind of bounced back with the minutes-wise and even he put up his best scoring display. So I think he's someone who should also be on your bench.
I agree. And Beal was ruled out with health and safety protocol, so we don't really know what that situation is going to entail for the next week or so. And yeah, Avdia is a guy who I think he needs more usage personally because you look at his stats, he's efficient from the field. He's a good passer. He doesn't really commit too many turnovers. And he's mostly just shooting threes right now, but he's good. Like he's clearly an NBA player. He's farther along than I thought he would be just in terms of you can put him out there for 24 minutes a game and he's not, he's fine out there. And I think he is. Up. Yeah. If you're in a deep league, for sure, pick him up. Like 14-team leagues, he should probably be on a bench, especially with the Beal situation.
Right. How about you, Johnny? Do you have anyone else?
Kind of wanted to go over. I know it's kind of early in the season, but if you were to do a redraft with maybe the top 5 rookies of the season, would you change anything? Who would they be? Who would you add? Who would you drop?
I think you would. Lamelo would go first if you were to redraft the rookies. And I think he did go first in terms of rookies most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of my drafts, he went over Blake Griffin, which to me was stupid, but now I look stupid for thinking that. Yeah, I think he would go Lamelo and then Halliburton. And I could actually see those two switched depending on people's opinions. It'd be close, though. Those two would probably go back-to-back, close to a back-to-back in a redraft. And then if people knew that Anthony Edwards was going to play, 24 minutes and that Wiseman is only going to play like 20 or 19, I think Edwards would go over Wiseman. And then after that, maybe Cole Anthony. Right. It's tough because we wouldn't have known the full situation or anything like that.
Right.
Someone who I'm also interested in before we move on is Obi Toppin. So he's only played 1 game, but actually when we talk about most confusing, I think the whole entire Knicks team should be up there because I did not think they'd be good. So you have Obi Toppin not playing any games because of an injury. It's a calf injury. I don't know how long it's supposed to be, but I'm assuming he's going to come back this season. Do you think that with how hot the Knicks are, that Obi Toppin could be fantasy viable?
It's tough to tell. So the calf injury, it's a strain, and he hasn't. The last time I checked, which was yesterday, he hasn't taken contact in practice yet. But the way they were kind of talking about it, I think he'll be back by the end of the month. It's tough because we know Thibodeau's playing Julius Randle and RJ Barrett 40 minutes a game right now. And I just don't know where exactly Toppin fits into that. There's a chance, I think he can play some 3 and he can play some 4, but I don't know. I just don't know if he's going to be fantasy relevant if he sees like 22 minutes a game. And I think if you're in a league where, let's say, you're doing really well, or maybe you have a bad bench and you're just looking for like something, just take a flyer on somebody. I wouldn't mind adding Toppin this week or next week, in the hopes of that. But I would be quick to cut him, I think, if his minutes aren't there. And, give it a little bit because he's coming off the injury. But it's going to be tough for him to find minutes.